As you may have noticed from the gameplay footage that has been shown, Genesis 14 is full of many different individual units, primarily enemy and friendly units. When deciding how to organize all these different units as objects, it's important to consider how they relate to one another. First off, let's look at all the friendly units under the player's control. Now maybe you couldn't tell by what footage you've seen, but all friendly minor units act under the same set of logic rules. Just about the only difference they have from one another are things like their health, coordinates, and other small attributes. Because all these units are so similar, I certainly don't want to create a separate object for each one appearing in the game. This is where instances come in. So we have an object, storing the logic of our friendly minor units. We'll say the object is named Soldier. With that coded object, you can create many instances of that soldier. For example, soldiers Fred, John, and Alan. Each soldier has different variables storing things like health and position, but the logic remains the same. Next, how about considering the relationship your main character and minor units share? Unlike all the minor units, the logic is now no longer the same between the two, but it should be pretty easy to determine that they have one major thing in common: enemies attack them and hurt them. So realizing this can help you design the objects so your code is shorter, more organized, and more efficient. As you can probably imagine, the enemy AI has to constantly do checks to see if any attackable units are nearby. Currently, there are only two types, so manually checking first the major unit followed by the minor units would not be a very overwhelming amount of extra coding, although the interpreter would have to run through more lines of code. But assume you wanted to add many types of units, eventually having 10 or more different types of friendly and enemy units. Adding all of these would certainly be a pain, as the programmer would have to go back to each object and expound the intelligence for each unit just so it knows it can attack each individual type. This is where parent-child classes become useful. Using classes, you can make a parent object and many child objects so that whenever a piece of code points to a parent object, it automatically does the same for all the child objects in the program. Therefore, your object orientation could look something like this. You have a parent of type friendly unit with 3 different children: captain, medic, and soldier. Then each child with many different instances. Using these kinds of fundamental concepts of object-oriented programming, code can be better organized, more quickly written, and even more efficiently executed.